I know that there's quite a lot of crit racing content on YouTube nowadays, but this video is all about when it actually matters in a crit race, when the breakaways that go and stay away go, and when races break up, essentially what happens. So my name's Daniel, I'm an amateur triathlete, but I do enjoy a good old crit race, and this is a second, third and fourth cat crit at Darley Moor circuit in Ashbourne in Derbyshire. All the stats are on screen. You can see we're 43 minutes and 42 seconds into this race, and there are attacks flying left and right. It's been like this throughout the whole day, to be honest. I'm feeling quite tired, but we've all had a hard race and there's some more pain yet to come. The circuit maps on the top left and the black arrows are the wind direction. Wind is about 6 or 7 miles an hour, so not super strong, but definitely enough to be a factor in the race. And the race is starting to break up a little bit now. As we turn around this corner, we do go into a headwind and it does neutralize this specific attack. But this to me just showed me like, this race is really starting to fracture now. With it being a second, third and fourth cat race, the ability range is wide. My ability or fitness level range is probably in the middle of this group, I would estimate. So it means that I can't afford to be doing fruitless attacks or, pulling groups along because I'm just then going to get dropped. But also I should have the fitness required to be relevant if I play my cards right. So these riders in front of me are working into this wind and are pulling that group back in front. Good job, because I don't think I had the legs to do so. My threshold power is about 330 watts. I haven't tested for a while, and my maximum heart rate is about 170 beats a minute. And as I said, this race has been hard. I think I normalized 340 for the whole race, so let's get stuck in and see what happens and see how this plays out. This next corner we're coming up to is the sharpest corner on circuit. It's the slowest corner. I think we get down to about 16 or 17 miles an hour, so not super slow, but definitely a lot slower than the 30 or 35 miles an hour we get up to on the other side. And I'm not the best at cornering, right? So I tend to lose a wheel or two in the corners and potentially lose a couple of positions. You can see it's still strung out, so although the racers come back together, there's a big distance between the front of that group and the back, and that just makes it more risky for splits in the group to happen. If somebody lets the wheel go and 10-20 meters opens up and the group's strung out, it's a lot less likely to come back together than if there are big bunches. Now we've kicked on into a tailwind, so I'm just trying to surge out the corner and get up to speed, and then my number one priority is to recover. I'm feeling it, as I've said. I know there's going to be some more hard riding yet to come. I'm right at the back of the race. This is really poor positioning. If I'm losing a couple of wheels out the corners, well, I've got nowhere to lose here, have I? If I lose a wheel or a couple of meters distance, I'm off the back, I'm dropped, I'm gone. And there's no shame in that, but I want to be in the race, and who doesn't want to win a bike race? Of course you do, right? Now, I'm not close enough to these back wheels. Although it's a tailwind, I'm still doing here, 240 watts, so sort of like mid top end zone 2. I'd have been recovering more if I'd have been riding like the riders in front of me there and soft tapping and or freewheeling, but that's just a bit of race savviness that I've not quite got nailed yet. Coming around this corner, I tried to carry a little bit more speed given that I'm on the back, but it doesn't really work. And then out this corner, just kicking on just to get up to speed, and I'm trying to just do enough to stay on the back of the group, but I don't need to be sprinting around anybody or passing anybody at this point. It's a lot easier to move up when the bunch isn't going hard than when the bunch is going hard, because when they're going hard, you've just got to go harder than everybody else, and I don't have that in my ability range. So I'm on the back of the group here. It is like a cross headwind. I'm happy with this, this positioning. I'm just trying to ease up a few wheels now when I can, especially like now when the bunch eases up and it fans out a little bit. Some riders just slip through on the right. I'm just going to follow them through just so that I can get better positioning. I wasn't really planning on attacking here, but I just sort of carried a bit of momentum. There's four riders off the front. I came around this corner thinking, well, I don't want to pull the whole bunch into the wind myself. Perfect, a rider comes across and he's on the front. He looks behind him before he commits to working, perhaps giving me a bit of an indication that he is a bit of a race savvy rider, and then he commits to working. He's probably wrongly assumed that I'm a good rider and I'm going to be able to give him some work, because I just wasn't able to. I'm pretty much at my max heart rate. I'm absolutely clinging on for dear life here. The group behind, the wide angle sort of blows it out further. We've probably got 50 meters, if that, so it's not really a massive distance, but if we can get across to this next group, it could then be a group that sticks, couldn't it? So that guy does even shout to me a couple of times, just like, come on, like, supportively, come on, let's go, let's get across that group, and I'm just not able to offer anything to him. And unfortunately, the bunch behind do bring us back, but fortunately, I wasn't going to do anything different in that situation anyway. Bit of talking there. I'm just trying to get anybody to come, come through and do some work. Doesn't matter what you're saying, whether you're lying or telling the truth or telling somebody that looks strong or something. I don't know. But I want that front group to come back to us because I want to be position one in the race if I can. And if you're just letting the race go away from you, well then you're not racing, are you? So 2 riders gone by there. They've just sort of sat in on that headwind. It was probably still quite difficult, but they've certainly not been working into the wind on the front. And then they've waited to that corner and kicked on. And then out of this corner, they then kicked on again. As you can see, they've got a decent little gap there. We're not really attacking out this corner, and they're pulling out a big bit of distance. There's then a bit of alarm bells ringing in this group, and a few people do commit to working a little bit. I don't have it in. I'm planning now just to try and recover, to try and get some legs back so that when it does kick off again, I've got some legs. It's unfortunate that guy just let that wheel go there, so I had to come round and I'm trying to close that gap. But again, this is big efforts this late in the race, and when you're just closing gaps, it's almost a bit of a waste of energy because you're not attacking and you're not getting across to a group, and it's still taking all that same energy. But that's bike racing, isn't it? So a little bit of recovery now. This group is now eased up, sort of spread across the road. It does look like those 4 riders who've got off the front are going to stay away, and they do in fact stay away. I can't be sure if the 2 that went halfway across got across or not. I couldn't quite see that, and that's part of the problem of not being at the front of the group as well, that you can't really see what is happening. So as we come around here again, I'm not too concerned about my positioning. I know that there's quite a few riders behind me, so I'm not going to fight for 1 or 2 wheels, but I do want to stay towards the top third of what is now the main bunch, the peloton. Those 4 riders up front, I guess, are the breakaway, but we're going to shortly see another group just slip off the front. So as these riders surge through, I'm going to kick on and just try and maintain position. Unfortunately, I didn't quite have enough of a kick to go with them there, and I did sort of sit up there and think, right, I'm not closing that gap myself. But because I did that, I then lost quite a bit of momentum, so I'm having to kick on again to follow this rider through. I then shipped my chain, which is annoying, but I got it back on within about 3 seconds. But again, you just drop that wheel. That isn't the reason why I don't go with those riders. I didn't go with them because I didn't have the legs anyway, but that certainly didn't help. As we swing around into this headwind, there's a tiny gap there, isn't there? Nothing too much. All I'm hoping is that coming into a headwind, right, these groups are going to come back together surely. And you can see that little break off the front there, they're spread across the road. It doesn't look like they're working together. It's got, this is coming back together written all over it. But the riders on the front of the group that I'm in here aren't committing to bring them back. They're just sat up on the right hand side, you can see, and no critique. Everybody rides exactly how they want, and if I really want that gap to be closed down, well then I better do it myself. So what can you do? Some other riders do then surge on, and again I'm just sat in this group. I think that was somebody trying to attack to get across rather than to actually just bring the group back, but they do actually stay away. So you see here it's a bit surgy, but we don't actually close the gap to that front group. And as we get up to the top of this hairpin, they have pulled a little bit of distance and then do continue to build on that. So where I'm at in this position right now, I don't think that group's going to go away and stay away. This what that is then the second group. So I'm thinking here, well, it's going to come back together. I'm recovering, and then I'm going to have some more legs for what's to come next. But when you take that approach, you can't control what is happening there. So those 4 or 5 riders there, just off the front of this group, so maybe 6 riders, they're just slipping away. And whilst you might think, they're going to bring it back together, and maybe at the beginning of a race they would do, it's just not happening right now, is it? They're not being brought back. We kick on out of this corner, but it's not a massive attack. It's just a bit of a surge, and then it does soon drop down. And those riders out front, if they know they've got a gap, if they start working well together and there's no hesitation, then they do quickly build that gap up. So in the last 7-8 minutes, I've gone from being in the peloton in what is the main group on the road to now being in the third group. So I've got no chance of winning this race. I mean, 2 groups behind, I'm about 20th position. What can I do? And looking back at it, I know hindsight, I needed to at least have tried and gone with the second move here. I think that first move was probably a bit too strong for me, and clearly the second one was as well. But that's the more realistic attempt there. If I'd have just attacked out of that corner after start finish straight, or hung on to that front group, then I could have perhaps been with that group there. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. I bet everybody's thinking the same thing. But now we're still thinking, well, they might come back together. Look, they're still nearly on them, but not quite. And it's like so close, but so far. And in honesty, right there, I'm thinking, well, they're coming back together, and I'm just clinging on the back. But it's not the case. Losing more wheels here. I know there's a few people behind me, so I'm not too concerned that I'm going to get dropped just yet, but I am, the last lap there was 3:06. That's quite a fast lap for this stage of the race. The riders now do sit up, and I think, great, I can just get a bit of a better position. all that's doing is giving that first and second group a little bit more of a gap. A few riders there just trying to get across to that second group. I don't know if they make it or not, but this is where if you saved yourself, or if you're a stronger rider, this is where it counts. You've got that rider in the middle there, attacking and kicking on. Well, that's when it counts, because he's pulling the gap there. This rider in front of me just sat up there and get it up. And you know, whilst I'm chasing, I'm not realistically going to bring that back. I'm having to swing in and sit on other riders' wheels. I'm not going to do that myself. All I'm trying to do really is like inside to chase. So now we're group 3, and there's that group behind us there. So I'm thinking, okay, is this a group now? Are we then going to be another sort of small splinter group? So I'm working, I'm shouting, I'm saying, come on, let's go, keep working. If we're racing the group that we're in, well, I'd rather race 6 people than race like 25 people. So if you can just put a few seconds into them and just be a group ahead, then, you know, it all counts, doesn't it? This rider's swinging off there. I'm going to commit a bit of energy to this, because I think that we do need to try and stay away from that group behind. I think I get a bit of cooperation from the riders as well if I'm shown to do a little bit of work. And we are pulling, as you can see, like the odd rider back who's perhaps you know, been dropped from the group they're in, or I don't know if that was a lap ride or not, actually, to be honest. But in any case, like, I think it was worth putting a bit of energy in for here. You can see me sort of swinging across the road now, making it clear that like I'm going to do a bit of work, but not a huge amount. And behind us, unfortunately, that group has got back on. So we are now a big group, probably the biggest group, but we are the 3rd group on the road. What I didn't know is that up ahead, I think group 2 caught group 1. But in any case, we're the 2nd group, we're well outside the top 10, and I'm like, you know, I'm almost like, well, obviously I'm frustrated because I wanted to be in the front group, but this is like a massive learning experience for how important positioning is, and how important like freshness is at this stage of the race. If you've saved your energy for what we're now 55 minutes in, and I'm getting dropped out of this corner, like, you're going to make a difference, aren't you? Now, I do sort of give it everything at this point and think, well, the best result I'm going to get is to beat all these people that I'm in this group with. I'm not a sprinter, so I'm like, we've got a lap and a half to go. I'm going to give it everything here and attack this group and just commit to it. And if they catch me and drop me, then well, so be it. But I'm at least going to give it a go. And I think I was even like kidding myself here that I'm winning. Obviously I'm not. So I attack, and I do get away from this group, and I actually spend about a lap and a quarter off the front of this group, and you know, sort of like some way between this group and the group in front. I don't catch the group in front, and the group behind me catch me on the finishing straight and leave me in their dust. But a good learning experience, a great workout, and hopefully you've got something from that. The main thing I'm taking away from this is be fresher at the end, as if that's within my control or not, but I'll give it a go next time. Thanks for watching, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon.